When I was about 5 years old, my family took me to see this new wonderful movie that had just come out called Jurassic Park. To at least my memory, this has been the first movie I'd ever gone to. There's possibly more before that, but this was the first movie I remember seeing in theaters. And it blew my mind. That actually changed my life. These wondrous creatures that were in front of me that I'd never seen before had come to life. They were right there. They were beautiful and majestic and terrifying. My life would never be the same after that movie. It was constantly on my mind, and I had to have anything Jurassic Park. Comic books, toys, little Tiger electronic games. I would pull together every single penny that I had just so I could get Jurassic Park toys. My mom would come home with those little dollar dinosaur toys because, we couldn't always afford the more expensive ones. I remember I was saving up for a Game Boy, and it took a really long time because all I had were like pennies I would find around the house. And one day I went to my local Blockbuster and I saw this guy. There went my Game Boy fund. I had to have this guy, who I named Scream. He doesn't scream anymore. I used to, in my room, I had this train set, and I made the tracks, like the tour in Jurassic Park, and I would put dinosaurs all around it, and they all had, like, their separate areas. And then I'd throw my Barbies in, who'd be the hapless victims that got completely demolished by the dinosaurs. At one point, I even wanted to be a paleontologist. I couldn't get dinosaurs off the brain. I was checking out every book in the library. I learned before the third Jurassic Park movie told us that raptors were actually covered in feathers, and the movie was wrong. I soaked my brain in knowledge of these fascinating creatures. And even today, a part of me kind of wishes I'd gone the paleontology route. Of course, with all of these toys, and these comic books, and all this merchandise, I had to get the games too. And what better way to remember one of my most cherished and beloved childhood franchises than to talk about each and every single game in the entire franchise. Let's do this.
The first two to come out and the one most strangely talked about is Jurassic Park on the NES and Game Boy. These two games are nearly identical and they both bite the big one. Both games start with you collecting eggs. Collect all the eggs and you get an ID card, and now you can go in one of the mini buildings where you collect more eggs. Am I playing the Easter Bunny's Big Adventure again? I don't want to collect more eggs, I want to beat up dinosaurs, or at least explore the park. The controls are incredibly awkward. You'd think it'd be hard to mess out with it just being A to shoot and B to jump, which by the way, that jump is completely worthless. Ground walk's on a grid system, making most of your shots go in either 4 directions, but most dinosaurs say, fuck that grid system, and almost always come at you from an angle, so you're constantly getting hit and getting killed by cheap, pathetic compies.
And is that really the way to go? Death by compies? The tiny little bastards that were so weak and pathetic they can only take down a drunken asshole through pure irony? Little girls, babies, and old men? Yeah, you heard me right. Hammond is actually eaten by compies in the book. And if I just spoiled a 20-year book for you, well, get over it. It's been 20 years. Also, Bambi's mom dies, Bruce Willis was a ghost the entire time, it was Earth all along, and Snape kills Dumbledore.
Okay, got all the eggs in the building, and it randomly spawns me a key card that I can now use on the computer, which ends the first level and takes me to the first boss of sorts, protecting Tim from a Triceratops stampede. This all seems pretty standard at first, until I suddenly realized I can't control Tim. And I actually have to protect him. This is complete bullshit. The Triceratops are fast, and there's only room for one body in between the two of you, and the fucking dumbass will always stand next to you, getting himself killed, or sometimes he won't even move at all. The only upside to this lunacy is that when you die, you respawn immediately where you left off, so you don't have to start the level over again. But 3 deaths and it's game over. Press continue. This isn't some short endurance round either. This boss lasts forever. 3 minutes doesn't sound like much, but with a small health bar and a muscle spasming child, it feels twice as long. Finally get to the next stage, and it's much of the same thing except the added inclusion of a rafting level. Holy shit! Just how deep is this river? Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the Brachiosaurus anywhere from 82 feet long to like 40 feet high? And it's not just a one-off, they're everywhere! This has gotta be the longest damn river I've ever seen. Interestingly enough, this river is mentioned on the book, although Grant is with both of the kids and there are no damn Brachiosaurus just floating around. In the novel, Grant, Lex, and Tim are separated from the group for most of the novel after the T-Rex attack. After spending the night in a shed instead of a tree, they find a raft and decide the easiest way to get back to the visitor center is to take the river all the way back. This ends up being a large part of the trio's journey, and I believe a few scenes in Jurassic Park 3 alluded to this, such as the scene with the pterodons, which was a closed part of the park in the novel, and the idea in itself to use a river to get to safety. Also, while we're speaking of Jurassic Park 3, these two? Not a thing in the novel. Not even close. It even states she's already engaged, and it's probably to this guy. Still though, if you guys are gonna change something for the movie, don't fucking change it back in the third one to make a reference to the novel that's by this point completely fucking different? You fucking assholes. Anyway, I think I've digressed enough. Our second stage boss is the T-Rex who's after Lex. I guess we're doing things a bit out of order here. By the way, there is no Triceratops stampede in the book, nor was it Gallimimus. They were duckbills. I guess Gallimimus are just prettier? So this is where the game becomes complete horseshit. I have to lead Lex to a hole at the end of the pen, but she stops anytime the T-Rex is near, so naturally, I start pumping bullets into him and it makes him back off, allowing us to progress further. But just only a few fucking steps into the level, I completely run out of ammo, and nothing in this stage drops any. So I just stand there and prepare myself for death when I realize...
Don't move! Can't see us if we don't move.
Well, sometimes. Did you know that in the novel, Grant doesn't just magically know this impossible fact about the T-Rex? He learns it on accident in the same famous T-Rex scene. With no guns and no way out, Grant stands still and accepts death, but after a minute of realizing the T-Rex wasn't eating him, he recalls that some reptiles have vision-based movement. As long as he stays still, the T-Rex can't see him. It is only after barely escaping this attack that he begins quoting that a T-Rex vision is based on movement. This boss level's still bullshit though. Even if you stand still exactly when Lex does, you only have a 50-50 chance of not being randomly hit by the T-Rex. I barely escaped with one life and no continues.
As awful as this game is though, there were some good ideas in it. I did like exploring the park, fighting the dinosaurs, and figuring out what few puzzles that it had. That brings us to the Super Nintendo version. This game's basically a massive upgrade of the NES and Game Boy versions, and quite possibly one of the best in the 16-bit library. I remember waking up in Valentine's Day, it was probably 1994, and seeing this on the table along with a bunch of chocolate. It was actually supposed to be for my brother and I, but we both basically knew who it was for. And it's going to be actually pretty hard for me to talk critically about this game because as a kid, I was obsessed with it. In fact, it was probably one of my favorite Super Nintendo games that I had while growing up. Even when this game annoyed me, even when I got frustrated and wanted to punch through a wall, most of the time, I couldn't help but smile at all the memories that this stupid game brought back.
The box cover boasts that you can use the SNES mouse in the game, but I could never get it to work. Just like in the previous game, you play as Dr. Grant in the park, but instead of being broken up into levels with boss fights at the end, you're given one giant park to explore in your own Legend of Zelda style. What made this game so fantastic in the day was the ability to move at your own pace and explore anywhere you wanted. I remember as a kid flipping through the instruction booklet and poring over the map and dinosaur facts, memorizing every part of the island so I could explore every inch. Even today, you can see which pages I read the most. I think the only instruction booklet I had obsessed over more was the one to Mario RPG. This does lead to one prominent question though that every original Legend of Zelda fan is familiar with. What the fuck do I do? Well, when I touch these motion sensor pulls, I get these annoying on-screen messages that take up half the fucking screen that inform me of my current objective. Or sometimes just Nedry being an ass. Prick. Just like in the NES game and in the movie, I need to turn on the main generator. And just like the NES game, this one has a love for key cards. The eggs are in here too, but they're spread out there at the park, and it doesn't look like I really need to collect them. The key cards, however, are essential for the second part. Oh shit. This was so awesome back in the day. Back in the 90s, this idea of a 3D environment was a new concept and not many tried to pull it off. Of course, we later had Doom, but that came after this game. Jurassic Park feels like 2 games in one. The first game is all the first-person buildings, shooting dinosaurs and collecting items, with the second being exploring the park, shooting dinosaurs, and discovering new areas. Also dying. Lots and lots of dying. The great thing about this game is that while you do have 3 lives, there are unlimited continues, so as long as you press start, you can continue for as long as you want. The game even starts where you last left off with all of your items. It doesn't even respawn the dinosaurs you've already killed. This non-linear playstyle was still a relatively new concept back in the day, except for Zelda. But there's one major fatal flaw in this game. One concept that could have turned this game from just a movie tie-in to a 16-bit classic. There is no save feature. This is a relatively long game. Even knowing what I was doing, it still took me over 5 hours just to beat it. And that's just counting my video footage. That's not including breaks or stopping to read what to do next because the game can get so damn cryptic. Now, that's not calling cryptic bad. Legend of Zelda was cryptic, but Zelda also had a save feature, so I didn't feel rushed and could take my time figuring out the puzzles. With no way of saving this game, I felt rushed. Like somehow the game was going to turn off any minute or it was getting too late now to turn it off so I could go to bed. Which I didn't. I actually kept the SNES on for an entire day so I could go to work. There was a tornado that day too. I kept my SNES on for an entire day during a tornado just so I could beat the damn thing. Hey, I've been waiting for over 20 years to beat this bastard. I wasn't gonna let a little life-threatening windstorm stop me. Dinosaurs aren't the only thing to worry about in this damn game, but the controls themselves. In the 3D environments, they're fine, if not a little disorienting due to the sharp turns and nearly identical rooms. It's the park itself that's a complete clusterfuck, and it's a little hard to explain without actually holding the controller. Grant is able to carry 2 guns. You shoot the first one by pressing A, which is all well and good, but to shoot your second weapon, you have to stretch your thumb all the way over to the Y button. This clusterfuck messed with me the entire game, and I never got it down. Most of the time I died because I kept hitting X for my second weapon, and I ended up taking it right in the ass from every raptor in the park. Yeah, X is the bend over button. Instead of just walking over items, you have to bend over to take them. This was such a stupid flaw that could have easily been fixed with at least an option to change the buttons, but mixed up buttons are the only reason I died endlessly. Just like the NES game, Jurassic Park is an over-top game, and just like the NES game, Grant is limited to a grid-like system. Unlike the first 2, however, it is possible to walk diagonally, but not easily, and I found myself often fighting with the D-pad. So, just like the NES game, I found myself dying constantly by dinosaurs who could break the very rules that I was confined to. Again, it helps I have unlimited continues, and most of the dinosaurs don't respawn once they're dead, but I often respawn far from the last place I was exploring, like those damn annoying mountains I had to cross several times to get where I needed to go. So my rule of thumb for this game? Memorize where the motion sensors are, and if you can, walk in and out of a building, as these are the 2 places you respawn after death. Well, now that we got that out of the way, let's go over the objectives. If you're a fan of Michael Crichton's book, then congratulations! This game follows just about every step. Huh. Now that I think about it, just about every game in the 16-bit era follows the book over the movie. I wonder why that is. Did they know what the movie looked like before release but didn't have the script? Did they just prefer the novel over the movie? Our first step is to turn the power back on in the park, just like in the movie. I need to go to the utility shed to boot the system, but I can't just walk over there. Oh, no. I first need to find every damn character's key card that even had a scene in the movie to get there. Well, not all of them. Ellie Sattler's ID card doesn't do diddly dick. Just like her character in the novel. My god, did they improve from the movie. Seriously, her character was fucking worthless in the novel. In seriousness, the different ID cards open up certain doors in the 3D level, allowing you further access into them to complete your objective. They're not that hard to find, all except 1 or 2, they're all in the buildings themselves. So if you're exploring anyway, you will come across them. What is frustrating, however, is finding the door again once you have the ID card. I kept notes in a document while playing, but it still took me a lot of trial and error to remember exactly what door I needed, since every damn room in all of these buildings looks exactly the same. Once the generator's on, I have to go to a certain computer to boot the system back up. Yeah, that's another bullshit thing about this game. There are computers everywhere, but only a few of them have certain functions. Like, even though I'm given the option throughout the entire game to call the helicopter over to rescue me, only one computer will actually do it, and only after I complete all of my objectives. Also, are those fucking Triforces? I mean, I know I've been doing a lot of comparisons to Zelda in this episode, but holy shit! Maybe they took more from them than I thought! After finally booting up the system, I had to keep the raptors from entering the visitor center. That involves going to the ground floor and kicking a box in front of the door. Yeah, I'm positive that will keep them out. Aw, see, Tim? That's where you done fucked up. Should've put a box in front of it. Once the visitor center is clear, our next objective is to clear the ship of all raptors. This always confused me as a child until I read the novel. One of the biggest concerns the characters have about John Hammond's park, besides being eaten, is whether the animals can or have gotten off the island. This idea was referenced in the movie The Lost World, whereas the supply ship is leaving for the main land, so the raptors attack it. Although the movie kinda forgot to mention what the hell happened to those raptors. In the book, it's clearly stated that the compies have gotten off the island, though it's never explained why, and while lost with Grant and Tim, Lex witnesses raptors on the departing supply ship. So not only is it a race to survive and escape, but to save the mainland from a possible dinosaur infestation. The ship is quite possibly one of the worst of the 3D levels besides the raptor's nest, which is mostly there to get more ID cards. What's great is that unlike the other environments, there's a counter in the top left corner to let you know how many dinosaurs are left to destroy. But this ship is surprisingly huge for a supply ship. The worst part was the barracks. I had one dinosaur left on my list, and I couldn't tell which rooms I had been in already or what doors went where. My only idea of where I was a dark room with a computer in it. Even when I finally found it, I wasn't out of the water yet because I still had to find my way back. Once the ship is clear, I have one final task: destroy the raptor nest. Unlike the movie adaptation of Jurassic Park, which had a clear message of life finds a way and to let nature do its thing, Michael Crichton treated the dinosaurs vastly different, as monsters need to be destroyed, and the characters were no different. Besides Hammond, who was barely even the novel except to bitch and whine about how things were going his way or his distaste for his grandkids. Oh yeah, Hammond was a shithead in the novel. The surviving characters, which did include Donald the lawyer and Muldoon, the clever girl guy, were dead set on at least destroying the raptors, though they often said the entire island needed to be destroyed. By the way, if I may digress about this blood-sucking lawyer, yeah, I get the joke that all lawyers are sleazebags and only wanting money, but my god did they change Donald's character from the novel. This is not a blood-sucking lawyer who sees dollar signs the moment he sees his first dinosaur. Donald knows what's in the park and he doesn't give a damn. He doesn't give a shit the park makes him a billionaire. All he cares about whether or not the park is safe or not. Now you could argue that he's only looking out for himself for when this eventual lawsuit hits over dinosaurs eating people, but in the original scene where Tim and Lex land on the island, Donald is pissed and rips Hammond a new one right in front of everyone. In fact, he's one of the only characters besides Grant that really cares for the children's safety. And the moment the shit hits the fan, it's Donald that wants to destroy everything. Donald was not in the scene with the T-Rex. He did not abandon the children and run to a porta potty. That was a completely different character named Morris. He was kind of the PR guy who was supposed to make everything sound nice and pretty. He abandoned the children. Donald was never on the tour. He was keeping watch on Hammond the entire time. Grant attempts near the end to paint Donald as a bad guy by accusing him of funding the project from the get-go. But let's be real here. If a guy came up to you and said he wanted your help funding a park full of live dinosaurs, would you say no? Okay, we should really get back to the game, but I just had to get that off my chest. Before we can destroy the raptor's nest, we had to find Muldoon's ID card so we can get the nerve gas. That's another character who lasted throughout the novel. They didn't change him much from his movie version other than letting him live, but then we wouldn't get such classic lines as, "Clever girl." Once we have the nerve gas, we need to make our way to the raptor nest. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention before that there are gates blocking certain areas of the park, so before we can make our way, we have to locate a certain computer to unlock it first. Fun times. Now, once we're there... oh, fuck me. I know I've mentioned several times in these reviews that I'm extremely directionally challenged. I won't deny it. It probably has something to do with the fact that I don't drive, but it doesn't matter. Games like this completely screw me over. The only way I found my way around this maze was with the left hand trick. That's where you put your left hand on the wall for the maze and follow it until you find your way out, or in this case, the nest. Put the gas down and get lost a million times before making your way out. Oh, and did I mention that you have to do these missions in order? I didn't realize that at first, and either after collecting the nerve gas, if I miss just one dino in the ship, Grant won't drop the gas. Why? Just fucking do it! What is it, glued to your goddamn hand? Drop it, you asshole! Finally found my way out of there. There's only one thing left to do. Call the damn helicopter. Which, of course, can only be done from the fucking ship. So make my way around that maze again, call it, find my way there. What? What the fucking piss bitch ass? What the fuck is this? Yeah, here's what I didn't mention. Throughout the game, you can collect eggs with the counter popping up every time you do. I just figured they were for an extra score, as I didn't need a certain number to go through any kind of building like I did with the NES game. So I didn't really bother with searching for them. But no, it appears that completely destroying the raptor nest was not enough. Not only do you need to find everyone's ID cards, turn on the generator, push a box in front of the door, kill every dino in the largest ship in gaming history, and destroy an entire raptor nest, but you also need to scavenge the entire island for every single egg. Why the fuck is this even necessary? If we're indeed following the events of the novel and not the movie, the entire island is blown to smithereens by the Costa Rican government. Are we pulling a Jurassic Park 3 and trying to take the eggs to the mainland?
I'm not gonna lie. I nearly gave up when I still realized I had 4 fucking eggs to go. I just paused the game and sat there, contemplating life, the universe, and this fucking game. I nearly did it! I nearly turned off the game and planned on ending the review right here, with my failure.
Then I realized I was just fucking stupid and started combing the island again. For the most part, you'll come across 90% of the eggs on your own, just by looking for cards and buildings. Once I started looking, I found 3 of the remaining eggs in about 20 minutes, but no matter where I went, I couldn't find the last one.
You wanna know where it is? You sure about that? You wanna know how much bullshit this game decided to fucking create to stop any goddamn sane human being from ever beating it?
There's an invisible wall. The one and only invisible wall in the entire game leads to a secret path where the last egg is. Let me be clear. This is the only secret path in the entire game. What the fuck kind of logic is that? If I've been exposed to multiple secret paths for extra items throughout the game, I would know that, hey, maybe some eggs are hidden here too, and I would move along the brush to find it. But no, instead I am taught from the very first screen that raptors are always hiding near the bush. So why in the mother of fuck would I ever want to go anywhere near these damn trees? I don't care anymore. Screw this game. Get me to the damn helipad and off this fuck heap. I've changed my mind. It's better if it's blown to pieces. Fucking riveting. Before ending this episode, let's take a look at one last game based on the first movie in the SNES library. Jurassic Park Chaos Continues is not an adaptation of The Lost World as one might suspect, but a completely original sequel, again inspired by the novel rather than the movie. It was made by Ocean again, but they decided to forego the top-down non-linear playstyle for a strange, cartoony, mission-based shooter.
InGen must be eliminated.
Oh shit, did that guy talk? Wow! Yeah, there's voice acting in this game, and it's not a pixelated mess. It's actually quite good, especially since other than PC games, it's extremely rare to hear any kind of speaking. Kudos to them! The story focuses on Biosyn, a completely unknown company in the JP movie universe. Did you ever wonder who Nedry was working for? We know of Dodson.
Dodson! Dodson! We've got Dodson here!
The man who'd ordered Nedry to take the embryos, and we knew Nedry didn't care much for Hammond, but who the hell was Dodson, and why did he want those embryos so much? Well, once again, we look to the book for answers. In the novel, it's explained that there are a mass number of companies competing for the next great discovery in genetics that can be patented. Biosyn was the second biggest genetic splicing company next to InGen. They offered a huge sum to Nedry, who was pissed at Hammond for treating him like dirt like everyone else in the novel, to steal as many embryos as possible so they could take them and splice their own versions and patent them. Like Henry Wu, who was a much bigger player in the novel, Biosyn wanted to make domesticated dinosaurs, make them the next greatest pets, give them cool colors, and create lap-sized Triceratops. Of course, this ended very similarly for Nedry, and Biosyn never got their sample. We assume this game takes place right after the first, and unlike the novel version, the island is not blown up. Still no save feature for this title, but they made up for it by making it much shorter. Chaos Continues can be beaten in about an hour, and it's co-op as well. Unfortunately, none of my friends have thumbs, so I guess that option's out. The game is divided by missions, which can be done in any order. So the game in essence is the same, but takes out the exploration. You know, the cool part. You can only get the true ending by beating all the missions on hard, so... shit. Guess that means I actually have to try in this game. So I choose a mission and I'm immediately dropped in the jungle as some no-name grunt. This confused the hell out of me when I first put in the game. By looking at the opening cutscene, it appears that I am playing as an agent of Biosyn. After all, the last thing I see before jumping into the mission is a bunch of no-name grunts dropping to the jungle. And here I am, in the jungle. It was only when I was a couple of missions into the game that I realized that I'm one of the so-called good guys of Engine, and that was only because of this text here. Now, tell me, if instead of having a mission system I was just dropped into each level a la Super Mario Bros., would you have any clue as to who you were or what you were doing? Other than what Lex Luthor tells you here? No, you wouldn't. Who the hell is this guy anyway? Let's take a look at the story. You have to be fucking kidding me. This is no-name grunt. This guy, who looks like every other shooter game action hero ever invented, is supposed to be Alan Grant. What the hell happened from the first to the second game, and why the hell is Alan Grant suddenly a dinosaur action hero? You see that? That's Alan Grant. Indiana Jones, fedora, blue shirt, a little pudgy. This guy? I don't know, he kinda looks like Kyle Reese, I guess. Also, in what universe would Alan Grant ever help Engine after the bullshit from the first movie and games? This game blows. Each level is the same, and I mean the same. Sure, you have different objectives each time, but just like Grand Theft Auto, you're thrown to the same world each time. And that's if Vice City was the size of a thumbnail. Now, what the fuck is this thing? If you're just screwing around shooting at every dinosaur you see, you won't even notice it until you suddenly die like a jackass. Get this, it's your dino meter. Now that we know that we're a member of Engine, it's apparently our duty to keep the park in order. Because I guess in this version, a bunch of deaths and dinosaurs on the loose is not enough to shut a theme park down. Did only the movie sequel have the damn sense to shut that park down? Cause it's looking better and better with each game I review. So what's this dino meter? Well, despite them all coming out to kill you, Engine doesn't want to lose any of its precious $1 million dinosaurs. So with each dinosaur you use deadly force on, the number goes down. The best thing to do is use the cattle prod, an item that moved over from the first game, to just knock the dinosaurs out until the number goes back up from the dinosaurs breeding. This is another where the fuck do I go kind of game, and it's in the worst kind of way. At least with games like the previous Jurassic Park, Zelda, and other large map games, there is usually some form of map system in play either in game or in paper format. But this game is one of those bastards that has you playing on a 2D plane where every scene looks exactly the same. It disorients you, and I'm sure everyone watching these knows I can't find myself in my own damn apartment. Some kind of map screen or a compass would have been nice, like in Link to the Past. Did you guys ever play that? Also, time limits. Fuck! What the hell is this? Well, I guess it's a breath of fresh air, or better than the same old jungle background. And now we're back to that. Seriously, the only backdrops in this entire game is a repetitive jungle, hellacious volcano, and boring-ass buildings with the same dinosaurs and same no-name grunt enemies. It's true the first game didn't have that many dinosaurs either, but there was the element of exploration and puzzle solving that kept your brain moving. Here it's just run, run, shoot, shoot. I will give the game this though. At least I can shoot diagonally. That's more than what I can say for most shooting games. The music in this game really sucks too. I didn't mention it earlier, but the soundtrack to the first game is awesome. Each section has its own music and it barely feels repetitive. Each track gives the feel of the jungle and the dangers of the elements surrounding you. The music programmer was a guy named John Dunn, with Dean Evans replacing him for Chaos Continues. Actually, looking at these two credit sequences back to back, the entire team is different. What the hell happened? This game came out not even a year after the first, and Ocean is no Konami or Capcom with hundreds of people under its belt. We're looking at a company that was best known for barely making movie tie-ins better than LJN. Even if the game sucked, at least we could see sparks of innovation. So tell me, Ocean, what the hell happened? Did you hate that? Did you hate when your team showed any form of creativity so you snuffed it out like a newborn bag of kittens? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Let's just go back to the game. Honestly, this might be the best mission by far. It's a breath of fresh air from everything else, but despite finally giving the player what they want, it's still incredibly boring. There's no obstacles, and the T-Rex never even comes close as long as you keep shooting. Just shoot, 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 and it's already over. And after every mission is complete on hard mode, a bomb is set off to go off, destroying the island, and our grunt, because I refuse to call him Alan, finally has his final showdown with Biosyn. Just like every other battle in this game, it's uneventful. Just shoot and dodge. I guess it's more exciting because it's in helicopters.
I can't believe it's possible, but this is even worse than the SNES ending. I mean, at least there I didn't have to do anything extra to get this shitty ending. But this? I worked my ass off to get this stupid piece of shit ending, and that's what they give me? I mean, sure I got extra levels, but it was the same shit over and over and over again. I wanted a special ending. If I wanted to see a helicopter fly off in the distance, I would have just watched Jurassic Park. Or a Michael Bay movie. Ugh. Okay, I really think that's all my mind can take this episode, but be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because this is just the beginning. I promised I would review every single Jurassic Park game, and I plan to deliver. Next time, we'll see if Sega truly can do what Nintendo don't. Or a Michael Bay movie. Ugh. Kibbles, you meowed and you ruined it. Where are you? I'm gonna kick your ass. Actually, come over here so I can kick your ass. Hi, thank you. A little closer so I can kick your ass. Okay. You close enough? Don't bite me. Don't bite me. Kick your ass. Ah!